It's another Saturday with my good friend Jason Aponte. This is Two Skinny Dudes. Welcome in. Jarrett Bailey, Jason Aponte with you. What's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, living the dream, mate. I've teased this thing for an entire week, and we're gonna save it for the very end. But I'm in full Gardner Minshew attire right now. I got the jean jacket unbuttoned with no shirt under. This is this is peak journalism, everybody. So
Yeah,
really dedicating myself to this whole thing. So I hope I don't disappoint you at the end, but this is gonna be a good show with a good finale.
absolutely. So, basically, we could have came on here and just started talking about Justin Fields and things like that. But, I'm a little bit burnt out talking about the 49ers. So, I made sure to talk to Jarrett about, let's talk about things that have nothing to do with the 49ers. Let's talk about the NFL because I do love this game as much as I love that team. I'm just a little bit burnt out about talking about them all week. So,
Yeah.
Jarrett wanted to start with, is there a growing concern with the Tennessee Titans with what they've lost from a team that last year got bumped by the Ravens in what I thought was a shocker, because the year before they bounced them, when everybody thought the Ravens were basically bulletproof. So,
hmm
Jared, talk to me. What's the concern with the Titans?
Last year Titans Twitter got at my throat when I released my season predictions in terms of record because I had Tennessee going 6-10. Obviously, that didn't happen. Maybe I was just a year early. I mean, you
Mhm.
look at what they've lost this offseason. They lost their top three corners. Malcolm Butler and Adoree Jackson are both gone. They traded for Desmond King midseason last year. He's now in Houston. So
Mhm.
right there, you look at the corners on their roster right now. They're starting two. It would be my guess would be Janoris Jenkins and then Christian Fulton, which it's not horrible, but I mean you're really relying a lot on Christian Fulton to take a big leap. Janoris Jenkins obviously a seasoned vet, and then after that, what do you have? So their
Mhm.
secondary just got a lot worse. Their pass rush, yes, they added Danico Autry and Bud Dupree. That's great. But it's almost like they flipped from last year. Last year, their secondary was okay and their pass rush was horrible. Now, I mean, they seem to address the pass rush, but their secondary shot. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them sign one of these corners that are still out there because there's still a good bit of them, whether it be
Mhm.
Steven Nelson or Casey Hayward or
Mhm.
something like that. So, um, they need to address that heavily. And then you look on the offensive side of the ball, no more Johnny Smith, no more Corey Davis. Always, obviously, A.J. Brown's fantastic, but who else are you going to throw to besides him?
Mhm.
So, they really need to knock this draft out of the park in terms of getting help in the secondary, more offensive weapons for Ryan Tannehill to distribute to, because it can't just be the Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown show on offense. You got to have a little bit more depth than that. So, Tennessee right now on paper, we can't, obviously pre-draft it's hard to, you know, figure out how teams are going to do throughout the season. But right as it stands right now, they're uh, they're looking a lot worse than they were last year.
Yeah, I mean, and last year, remember, they brought in Clowney, and as you said, the pass rush was anemic, the secondary was good. So, there's a discussion to be had about whether it's pass rush that saves the secondary or the secondary saves pass rush. So I think this is a good point to talk about here. So if the pass rush, ends up being what they believe it'll be with all their additions, then the secondary has less that they have to do, right? I'm more concerned with the offensive side of the ball, right? We understand that, now, well, you've outlined all the losses. Arthur Smith is a loss. Offensive
Yeah.
coordinator now head coach for Atlanta, runs a variation of the Shanahan system. Very much, got Ryan Tannehill back on track with the play action and the running game and everything. But I get concerned too about, okay, AJ Brown, monster,
Mm-hmm.
absolute monster. But you're right. Now you have to address in the draft wide receiver two. Is Anthony Ferkser the answer at tight end? I don't know. For as much as everybody loves John Smith's athleticism, he was still underutilized just because of how they, their run pass numbers are so skewed. It was just straight like Henry, and then play action. To AJ Brown, right? So
Yeah.
there is a lot of concern when it comes to them because, it's not easy to lose your offensive coordinator. It's not easy to lose all of those pieces. And now you're talking about, people in the AFC getting a little bit stronger. So I'll ask you this question. What is their most pressing need in the draft? What do you expect them in round one to address?
It's got to be corner, right? I mean, what are they picking round one? I think it's 22,
I got to
23.
check that out. I'll tell you right now.
Because I know it's early 20s. They wouldn't pick if the Steelers are 24. Both of them got bounced in the wild card, so it should be around that 20. I think it's 23.
20, 22.
22. Okay. So, I mean, before I would have said edge rusher, go get a guy like Jason Oweh or Jalen Phillips. Good morning, Jonathan. Thank you for tuning in. Look, you had a very good night. No, mate. I mean, it's just that this hair, it's becoming a problem every morning to deal with, and at this point, I'm just waking up and shaking my head. So, but in terms of what I think, cornerback's got to be the pick. I mean, somewhere in the secondary at least, and whether that be if they wanted to add a safety as well, if they want to go Trevon Moehrig, if they want to go a Fatu Melifonwu, depends on on which one of these corners is still left. I mean, I think we all know that J.C. Horn is, a guy that's going to go, top 12-ish. We're going to have Patrick Surtain go pretty high. So it depends on, how high they are on corners. But if they're not feeling that, wide receiver could also be an option. We know that this is a wide receiver heavy class, so that could sway them to also wait a little bit. But I would say somewhere in the secondary would have to be their most pressing need right now, simply because of the things that they've lost.
So, I mean, would J.C. Horn be somebody that's there at 22? I don't think so.
No.
Would they take a chance on Caleb Farley at 22?
Caleb Farley could be fun. And look, pre-injury, or I guess pre-surgery, Caleb Farley was projected as a top 10 pick. And you look at his 2019 film, it's fantastic. Very sticky, very good in press coverage. So, I mean, there's not too many guys that can say that they're fantastic in man press, and he is one of those guys. So, I think the fall of Caleb Farley, some teams are going to live to regret it. He's probably my favorite corner in this draft, at least from watching his tape. So, no, I love Caleb Farley. I think that people are kind of over-exaggerating the fact that he had to have his knee scoped and whatnot. But, no, I think that if Caleb Farley's there for them, I'd be shocked if they didn't take him, especially if he falls that far, which a lot of people are expecting him to do.
So at 22, if the Titans went Rashad Bateman, who I love, and I think that everybody is going to wind up looking back at this draft and saying, man, how did we miss out on him? Do you think that that's a possibility at 22 for them? Because, man, I really would love to see him, across from A.J. Brown. That would really be something for the Titans.
Pete, my dog in the background.
Yeah, I see him.
I think Rashad Bateman has all the potential to be maybe the best receiver in this class. And we're going to get into the receivers, and I'll explain it more then. But he's just the entire package, isn't he? I mean, he's big, he's lanky, he's got great hands, he runs great routes, could be a red zone threat. Rashad Bateman's a guy that could definitely go in that spot. Again, it just depends on what they value more and how they feel about the guys that they have. Because, I mean, Janoris Jenkins isn't a scrub. We know that. He's a seasoned vet.
And he's actually rejuvenated his career because he was kind of left for dead when he went to the Giants, and he actually played well over there. And then when he got over to the Saints, he actually played well over there too. So I mean, and then the same thing, Malcolm Butler was brought over there after he was already past his prime or whatever it is, because people had already kind of left him for dead after he left the Patriots as well too. So
yeah, and like I said, we see all the openings on that team at corner. Now they drafted Christian Fulton out of LSU for a reason, obviously. So they expect big things from him. So, I mean, at this point, if they believe in those top two guys right now, they could, the very least, just bring in depth at that position because they're not deep at it whatsoever. So my guess would be corner. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a receiver, especially, if it is Rashad Bateman. I think that's a good pick. I think they're going to, I would keep an eye out for maybe Pat Freiermuth going there in the second round if he's there. Okay. I think that could be a good fit for him. So they're going to have to address a lot of spots, but I don't think they're necessarily, left for dead in terms of this. I mean, the draft can fix a lot of their issues. And the thing that they have going for them is that they play in the AFC South. You're going to play Houston twice a year. That's probably 2 wins right there. They're going to play Jacksonville twice a year. That's at least 1 win. Right. I think Jacksonville's going to be better, so I mean, you can make the argument that they could take 1 game from them. But
they can't be worse.
Yeah, no. So I mean, and then they always play Indianapolis tough. So I mean, that's at least we could probably pencil in at least 4 wins for them right now, just because of the division that they play in. So yeah, I just think that there's a lot of holes that they have left vacant simply because guys have left, and not a lot of people have really been paying attention to that. I mean, with the entire Fields thing going on right now and the Niners pick and everything, that's really all anyone's been talking about. But Tennessee is a very well a team that could take a step back in 2020, especially in a stacked AFC.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a good conversation because, again, I love the 49ers, but I love talking about other football teams because then you start to get into, what do they need? What's going on with them? And it's a nice little break to talk about, somebody else other than Justin Fields and have me yelling into the camera about it. So real quick, the other news that came out, Cleveland signs Jadeveon Clowney. So Jadeveon Clowney's starting to feel like a hired gun. 1 year, everywhere he goes, 1 year contract, just there to be paired across from Myles Garrett. You're an AFC South guy. Talk to me about how this makes you feel about, because Cleveland's defense is good, man. And the additions that they've made, in the secondary now. And, man, does this worry you at all? Because, I understand Jadeveon Clowney hasn't lived up to where he was drafted, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, he's actually much better in the run game than he is actually as a pass rusher, which is something that nobody saw coming when he came out of college. So how does this make you feel? Does this make you, a little bit more nervous that, Ben Roethlisberger is going to have to watch from both sides now?
The thing with Jadeveon Clowney is that, yes, I think that he's been very overhyped. That's a
good point.
That is a very good point. Yep.
Good point.
I think he's been overhyped because of the one play that he made at South Carolina, and he earned a lot of, got viral from it. But if you go back to that 1 year in Houston where, he was playing opposite of, multiple defenders with Whitney Merciless and J.J. Watt, he had a good year. So I think that he's better suited as, kind of an edge rusher 2 rather than an edge rusher 1. I think if you pair him with a guy like Myles Garrett, who's going to attract a lot of attention, I feel like this could very well be a relationship similar to what T.J. Watt and Bud Dupree had. Bud Dupree's a good edge rusher. I don't know if he's going to be, a good go-to edge rusher, but you put him across from an elite pass rusher, then he's going to have more production. I think we could see something very similar in Cleveland this year. So I think that this is a very big year for Jadeveon Clowney in terms of proving that he can get to the quarterback and stay healthy. In terms of teams in the AFC North, man, I think Cleveland's probably far and away the best on paper right now. We haven't even had the draft yet. And so in terms of, as a Steeler fan, in terms of teams that scare me, Cleveland is very much at the top. And then a large gap down to Baltimore. And then Cincinnati's coming. They're not, I don't think, too many fans are afraid of Cincinnati yet. But no, Cleveland, you see what they've done this offseason, adding Josh Johnson, adding, Nick Collins from the Rams as well, the cornerback, and then adding Jadeveon Clowney. They have made not a lot of moves, but the moves that they've made have been significant. So I think that their defense has a case for being, they very well could be a top 5 unit in football this year. And then you look on the offensive side of the ball, Odell Beckham Jr. is coming back. All right, that's good. Rushing attack with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, a good offensive line, 3 really good tight ends. They took Harrison Bryant last year from Florida Atlantic. And apparently David Njoku's also coming back. So, they've got 3 really good tight ends as well. So they don't have too many positions of weakness. The one weakness you can maybe point to is middle linebacker to get somebody next to Mac Wilson. But even then, they're solid there at the very least. So Cleveland doesn't have too many needs right now that are pressing, and that's a very good place to be pre-draft.
Absolutely. Of the NFL for a long time, and then all of a sudden this team gets stacked really quickly, and it's not, look, Baker Mayfield was the number 1 pick. You can disagree with that all you want, but right now, with the way that, they've got their new coach. I thought Stefanski should have been coach of the year, honestly, with the way or did he win coach of the year, right?
I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. There you go. And Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams is still over there. Their secondary is loaded, man. Like if they get anything out of those guys, it's incredible. And then you're talking about, Johnson, who came from the Rams, had an incredible year last year. Now you're talking about good. Yeah, now you're talking about Myles Garrett with Clowney on the other side, man. Cleveland's stacked, man. They really are. And the thing is, I understand the health concern, but even if Jadeveon Clowney gets hurt, they'll be fine. When it comes to that, I still think that Nick Chubb is one of the 1, 2, 3 best ball carriers in the league with the ball in his hands. Like it's like Derrick Henry, him, and like Dalvin Cook, honestly, who, you don't want to see them coming at you with the ball in your hands. Like Chubb will run you over, but he'll also shake you up. So, and then the Kareem Hunt thing, man, I didn't understand where they were going with it, but it's clear that everything goes through the run. Stefanski runs that variation of Shanahan's system, and it puts Baker Mayfield in good spots. Yeah, Cleveland's tough, man. They really are. And, for everything that everybody wants to talk about, okay, the Chiefs. Well, they had a chance to win that game last year. If a call goes their way, a call goes another way, and they don't give up that, what is it, that run to, who was it? Who the heck was their backup quarterback who
Chad
on fourth down? Yeah. That's going to haunt them. That's going to haunt them forever. That was their shot to knock the king out right there. But Cleveland's on the rise, man. And I think that it's really cool. And I think it speaks to more of the parity in this league, how quickly things can go from, straight up laughing stock to a team that everybody kind of is looking at as on the rise and fears. And I think Cleveland is that. If they load up on this draft and they hit on a few of these picks, they're going to be tough for a long time because they still haven't paid Baker Mayfield. And we all know that the team that hasn't paid their quarterback is the one that is the most dangerous.
And the thing with Baker Mayfield is that when his time does come in terms of getting a new contract, they're not going to have to really give him, a $45 million deal. I think he'll be somewhere in, the mid-30s in terms of what they can get him to. And as much as people want to hate on Baker Mayfield, seems like a guy who'd definitely be willing to take a few less dollars to make sure that there's a great team around him. Seems like a real team player. Yes, he talks a lot, but that's part of his mantra. And, I really think that when the time does come, he'll be willing to be like, yeah, I'll take a few less. Let's load up this team. Let's keep this thing going. So Cleveland's going to be good for a while. And you know what? How funny, and maybe it's just personally funny for me, but wouldn't it be really funny if the Browns and Baker Mayfield won a Super Bowl before Lamar Jackson and the Ravens did? That would just warm my heart.
I mean, honestly, I can't see how anybody would argue otherwise at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just a better roster, and I think with the Ravens, it has nothing to do with Lamar Jackson. It has more to do with Greg Roman. I can't, obviously for obvious reasons, I can't stand him, but I'm just tired of the whole, charade of, I'm going to show you that we can run this. And then when everybody catches up, I'm not going to adjust. I'm just going to continue to, just do what I'm doing. And that's it. And help Lamar Jackson regress. We've seen this story before. I just don't understand how he continues to get work when the same thing happens over and over and over. But that's the good old NFL boys club league of just, hey, you used to have a job once. Cool. Let's get you a job now, yeah, I don't want to go too far on Greg Roman. So
that's fine.
Right. Yeah. No, why? You're going to make fun of him too?
No, it's not even that. It's just the fact that Baltimore doesn't scare the elite teams in the league. They don't. Mm-hmm. And you look at how Kansas City plays them. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have never beat them. We go back to week 3 last year. He threw for 97 yards, and they just ran all over them in terms of Kansas City just obliterating them. Look at the game against Buffalo in the playoffs. And Buffalo wasn't afraid of him. You look at 2 games that he's played against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh isn't afraid of him. So that's great. You beat Tennessee. They're a good team. They haven't been able to beat any great teams when it matters, especially the top tier of the AFC. So unless Lamar Jackson really just has some insane revitalization and learns how to throw the ball deep, nobody's going to fear them because they have the blueprint on how to beat them. It's absolutely stuff the run on first and second down and then put them in third and long situations where they have to throw. And we've seen more often than not, they're unsuccessful in doing so because they don't have the quarterback that can really do that. And, that's not, I know that my rap on Twitter is that I'm a Lamar Jackson hater. I think more or less I'm just a Lamar Jackson truther. So, the numbers don't lie. He's not good at throwing the ball deep outside the numbers, and teams are starting to catch up with that. So, good luck against Cleveland twice a year this year. Baltimore, good luck against Pittsburgh with their still really good defense that have returned 2 guys that they originally thought that they lost. Good luck, Baltimore. I don't see them winning more than 9 games this year.
Let's see. I mean, it's more, again, I'm going to throw it at the feet of Greg Roman, honestly, because, the receivers don't, it's hard for him to throw outside the numbers because, okay, maybe he's deficient in that, but all those routes are like in the middle of the field towards tight ends. Like it's always the same thing over and over. And again, it impeded Cap's progressions. It's the same thing. Like it's the same thing over and over. Wash, rinse, repeat. And that's the part that really gets me scared. But let's move on real quick. So top 5 receivers in the draft. This is a hotly debated topic. We already touched on somebody who I really like, Rashad Bateman. There is Devontae Smith. There's Waddle. Talk to me, Jarrett. Talk to me about your top 5 guys.
It's starting to become buyer beware with receivers in the first round, I think, because I'm noticing a pattern. I mean, you look at the guys that are taken in terms of the first receivers the past few classes. Remember, Corey Davis was the 3rd overall selection back in, 2017?
Yeah,
that didn't exactly pan out. You look at even last year's class. Henry Ruggs was the first receiver taken. That's looking to be. I mean, that was a very Raiders pick. We know that because he was the fastest guy in the draft, and that's what the Raiders like. But even then, Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb were both vastly outperformed by Justin Jefferson. And 2019, there was, or 2020, 2019, there was a bunch of guys that went in the mid rounds. Deontay Johnson led everybody in catches. Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf. So all these mid round guys are rising above the guys who went early. Remember, N'Keal Harry was a first-round pick in that year's draft, and there's a bunch of guys that are outperforming him that were taken in rounds 3 through 5. Yep. So I become kind of wary whenever I rank receivers at this point anymore, simply because it's kind of like a lottery, But that said, I like Jamar Chase. I think he. We're going to talk about a mock draft later, so I don't want to speculate too much on where he's going to go, but I think he'll probably end up in either Miami or Detroit, one of those two. I think that Waddle, when healthy, can do a little bit more than Devontae Smith. I think Devontae Smith obviously had a very great year, won the Heisman for a reason, but I would put Smith 3. Rashad Bateman, like I said, I would not be surprised whatsoever if he's the best receiver to come out of the 4 of them. I think he's just the total package in terms of what he can do. And look, everybody wants to hate on Rondale Moore because he's tiny. I'm going to stand up for my short king here. And if he goes to the right system that knows how to use him and just puts him in the slot and says, fucking run, we're going to get you the ball in short routes. We know you're fast. We know you can jump high. They can put him on the outside as well as a deep threat. Rondale Moore could terrorize this league as long as he stays healthy. And I get that injury concerns are a big thing. But he's an athletic freak, and I'm hoping that Rondale Moore proves a lot of people wrong in this draft. He might be my favorite receiver in the draft, just maybe just because he's tiny, and I can relate to that. Mm-hmm. But Rondale Moore is a guy who will go probably second round, and whoever takes him, as long as they figure out the perfect spot for him, I think that he's going to absolutely thrive. So that would be probably my top 5. It would be Chase, Waddle, Smith, Bateman, and then Rondale Moore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you with the 4, and then I'm going to say another Moore instead of Rondale. Not trying to argue with you because I do love Rondale Moore. I'm going to say Elijah Moore, honestly. I think he's just a little bit more polished. This is a really deep class, honestly. Yeah. I see Diami Brown being talked about in here. Austin Watkins is somebody who, I wrote an article on for 49ers Goldmine that later on can be had. He probably has the best hands in this draft. Like, he literally told the story on the 4th and Goal podcast with Javi and Fernando about saying that he dropped one pass, I think, in like his entire time, and he remembers it clear as day. And he said that it's never left his mind. So that goes to show you the focus. So Austin Watkins is somebody that could be had later on, but I agree with your top 5, honestly. As far as like best deep threat, it's probably Waddle. As far as best route runner, it might be Devontae Smith. What do you think about that? Do you think that he's the best route runner in this class?
It's a conversation to be had about him, definitely. Now, obviously, he benefited from the fact that Jalen Waddle got injured, and he was just the sole recipient of all those targets. So, but no, he's very dirty in terms of route running. He could be kind of this year's Jerry Jeudy in terms of his route running skills. I mean, we saw the clips of Jerry Jeudy last year, and they were filthy in terms of his offseason workouts. So, I think that we could see some similarities there between the two. So, now, when I say that, it's buyer beware, this isn't me saying that I want these guys to fail. It's just when you start noticing a pattern, go back to when the last time, like, a receiver was taken super high and really panned out. There's not too many of them, to be honest with you. I mean, the last one, maybe Julio Jones, A.J. Green, Calvin Johnson. Those are the only 3. Maybe Odell Beckham Jr., I guess, in 2014, because he was taken in the top 15. But there's not too many examples that we have over the past 15 or so years with a receiver taken really high and really just turning into a megastar. There's not a lot of them. So I think that's kind of where the buyer beware thing comes in. And I think receivers are starting to get kind of the same stigma as running backs, where teams are like, we can wait to take a receiver, so let's just focus on, more important positions. So again, I want all these guys to succeed. I think the majority of them will find success. It's just starting to become patterns being noticed in terms of these guys, in terms of their success and where they're taken in the draft.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Kadarius Toney? Because I think he's the best after the catch guy in this draft. I understand that he was paired up with Kyle Trask, who, future Pittsburgh court. No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. And Kyle Pitts, but with the ball in his hands, he really impressed in Mobile. With the ball in his hands, he looks like he has moves. What do you think about him?
I like him. He's also a really good route runner and very shifty and creating his own space. Did have a little bit of a case of the dropsies down there a little bit, but Other than that, man, he's very good. I would not be surprised if we see a guy like Kadarius Toney go to Kansas City at the tail end of the first round.
Not good.
Yeah, I mean, look, they addressed a lot of their offensive line needs and free agency. You know, a couple months ago, I said, yeah, they're taking just linemen with every pick. But now, I mean, they bring in Joe Tooney. I believe they signed another offensive tackle or a guard, one of the two.
Can't really remember, but I think you're right.
Yeah, so, I mean, they've kind of, given their offensive line a facelift in terms of, who's going to be blocking for Patrick Mahomes. Now, very well still could be a lineman, but if they decide to go a different direction, would not shock me at all if it's a receiver. Would not shock me at all if it's Kadarius Toney.
Okay, so we've got 5. So what about Terrace Marshall? And that's a good one. We got Rondell Moore, Kadarius Toney. We talked about Diami Brown. We talked about Josh Palmer is somebody that's kind of lying in the weeds as, a top 10 receiver in this draft. Talk to me about, well, first of all, talk to me about Terrace Marshall a little bit.
Terrace Marshall, I mean, he had the benefit of being the go-to receiver because Jamar Chase wasn't there. Obviously, Jamar Chase sat out due to the pandemic, so Terrace Marshall kind of thrived in that. And no, obviously LSU as a team didn't really thrive, but Terrace Marshall put on a show. So now I like him a lot. I think he's going to be a solid deep threat. Good kind of, 50-50 guy. So there's a lot of traits that each of these guys possess. It's just a matter of, all right, who's better at this, who's better at that, and what fits our schemes and whatnot. Another guy, Tylan Wallace, very good. Frank Darby from Arizona State. There's a ton of guys. Now, one that we haven't talked about that I always talk about with receivers, Shi Smith from South Carolina. I think he's going to be an absolute stud. He's going to probably go anywhere between the 3rd and 5th rounds.
Yep.
You put him in the slot. He's a guy that's not afraid to get those gritty yards, but can also make spectacular catches downfield. He's got good breakaway speed. Shi Smith from South Carolina, one of my favorite guys in this draft as well. Yeah,
Amari Rodgers is another guy who I really like, especially for the 49ers. He runs those jet sweeps and he looked like Debo. Like when he was running those in Mobile, I was like, is that Debo? There he is. But Amari Rodgers is somebody that I think that can be had later on. Josh Palmer is pretty interesting, honestly. He was putting on a show at the Senior Bowl, with his one-on-ones as well. I'm trying to think of anybody else that we may have missed. Can you think of anybody else? I mean, honestly, Austin Watkins is my favorite at the end of the draft, later on. And the same thing with Shi Smith. I think you're absolutely right. 3rd to 5th round, somebody's going to walk away with a stud, and everybody's going to look back and say, what the heck was everybody thinking at this point? Olave from Ohio State. What do you think?
I mean, he gave Penn State hell last year. He gave everybody hell. Being a Penn State guy, that was a hard game to watch. But I think that Ohio State receivers seem to be kind of one and the same the past few years in terms of what they do in the NFL. So I feel like he could fall into a similar situation with, where Samuel was in terms of where he finds his place in an offense. I feel like he could be a very similar player that, Samuel was in Carolina. Okay, you know what? I'm going to show some lack of research. Which Samuel went to the 49ers? Was that the one from Ohio State, or was that there was a South Carolina one?
We got Debo from South Carolina.
Okay, Curtis Samuel
wasn't from Ohio State. Yep, Curtis Samuel was. He's on
Just
Washington.
making sure I got my Samuels right.
You're good. Good. I wish we had both, but whatever. I'll cry later about it.
So I mean, no, there's the interesting thing about this receiver class is that there's going to be guys that go undrafted that in any other class would go 5th, 6th round. So there's going to be a lot of talent that show up in camps that weren't drafted and could really make a name for themselves. I mean, trying to think of guys we missed. Sage Surratt from Wake Forest. He's a big guy. Could be a big red zone threat. I'm trying to make sure we didn't forget or leave anybody out. But Dwayne Eskridge. He had a good Senior Bowl. He scored a touchdown in the Senior Bowl, if I'm not right. Or is that Demetric Felton, maybe?
Demetric Felton scored 2.
Yeah. So 2 other guys that could very well make a name for themselves as well. It's just a very deep class. So there's going to be a lot of guys that don't get drafted that could still very well make their way onto rosters.
Absolutely. So sticking with the draft, okay? Charlie Casserly.
Yes. Let's do this. This is going to be fun.
All right. I don't want to get upset, right? Because this is one man's opinion, okay? And Charlie Casserly has... Charlie
Casserly was an exec in the NFL for a long time. He won a Super Bowl with Washington.
Yep.
I think, and look, I'm not crapping on Charlie Casserly. I like Charlie
Me neither.
Casserly.
And that's what I was going to preface this by saying. It's just, I'm going to get upset, but I want to make sure that I don't disrespect someone who's done a lot for the game.
Yeah.
Right.
So this isn't us crapping on Charlie Casserly because, obviously he's forgotten more football than a lot of people will ever know.
For sure.
So, but his mock draft, I mean, yeah, there's a lot to be discussed there, so we can kind of dive right into it.
All right. So first, Trevor Lawrence, fine. 2, Zach Wilson, fine. Don't think anybody has a problem with that.
I think those are the consensus 2 picks in everybody's draft right now.
Yep. And also, I want to say this about Zach Wilson. I got a chance for anybody out there who's looking for somebody who can break down quarterbacks really well. I watched a video of JT O'Sullivan, his 6th game, I think, that he actually broke down from him. He's got some really good insight on Zach Wilson about missing reads and things like that. I would implore anybody who wants to just take a look at that. I mean, not that he's not calling him out. He's just calling it what it is. So, he was just saying that, for everything that everybody's saying about him being bulletproof, he was like, you would think that all these things are happening every single time, and they're not. I mean, he wasn't nitpicking or anything like that. He's gone through 6 games, and he's been telling people like, hey, if you have other examples, show me. I want to learn or whatever. But I thought that was really interesting. So, yeah, Zach Wilson goes 2. 3 is where we're going to start getting upset. You already know who he has at 3.
McCorkle.
Yes. And look, listen to this response. Kyle Shanahan has enjoyed success with Kirk Cousins and Jimmy Garoppolo. I rated Jones higher than both those guys back when they were coming out of college. Lazy, lazy, lazy. Okay? Again, speculation on what you think Kyle Shanahan is looking for in a quarterback leads you to believe that because he loves Kirk Cousins and he loved what Kirk Cousins did as far as processing means that that's what he's looking for. It's lazy. You didn't get that from anybody. Nobody in the building is talking about Mac Jones right now. I don't understand this. I don't want to get too upset, but again, the narrative is being pushed by every single NFL media person at this point, and it still doesn't make any sense on the 17th. It really doesn't. It really does not. But let's move on. Atlanta, Kyle Pitts at 4. You hate this.
I do, and we talked about it in the last show, so I don't want to, repeat too much of anything. But yeah, it would make absolutely no sense for the worst defense in football to take a tight end with the 4th overall pick. I think that Atlanta is going to move out of the 4 spot. I don't think Charlie did trades in this draft, in his mock draft, so I guess that we can give him a mulligan on that. But no, if Atlanta stays put, I would be incredibly shocked, and I don't want to say upset, but I'd be like, that's a stupid pick. As great as Kyle Pitts is, that's the opposite of what they need right now. They need help on the defensive side of the ball.
Right, and the way he describes it is the trade offers aren't good enough for Atlanta to pass on arguably the best player in the draft class. Fine, whatever. 5, Penei Sewell. I like it. I did my mock draft episode this week with Jordan and Brad, and they kind of made a case for a wide receiver over Penei Sewell or an offensive tackle because Jonah Williams is coming back, and everybody forgets that. He didn't play 1 snap last year. And, if it's something like Jamar Chase and you pair him up with Burrow, his ability to get open doesn't allow him to be back there for too long holding the ball. So, I mean, it's a good idea. But honestly, getting Penei Sewell is not a bad look, honestly, a 5 for them. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Now, we all know that they need a left tackle to make sure that Joe Burrow doesn't get broken in half before his career really even gets started. We saw what he did with a horrible pocket. We might as well see what he can do with a clean pocket more often. And, I think that's the overwhelming majority is that they're going to go with either Sewell or Rashawn Slater. They kind of have their pick there. So, we'll see.
And I'm going to do 3 in a row, and you tell me if any of these are a problem. Miami, Jamar Chase, Detroit, Devontae Smith, Carolina, Rashawn Slater.
Let's see. Miami, Jamar Chase, Detroit, Devontae Smith.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. We know that Miami needs a receiver badly. So Jamar Chase seems to be the best of the bunch. It makes sense to get him. And then 7, we know that Detroit needs a receiver as well. The thing with that is that Detroit needs so much help on the other side of the ball. And I know that fans would want to see a receiver go in the first round. But as I said earlier, you can wait and still get a phenomenal receiver. I think that Micah Parsons there would be an absolute great pick for them. He could be the quarterback of that defense right away. They're trying to build up a new era in Detroit. Micah Parsons can be their Navarro Bowman, their Patrick Willis. He can be there for a long time.
Is that because he went to Penn State?
That's because he went to Penn State, yes. So he can be the next in line of great Penn State linebackers to anchor a defense for years to come. I think that if Detroit's sitting there at 7, I think they really got to look at themselves and say, look, our defense is atrocious, especially our front 7. We need a guy that can come in and really anchor this thing. There is a trillion receivers in this draft class that have the potential to be impact players. They can take multiple receivers in the mid-round. If they want to go a receiver, 2nd round, 4th round, or whatever they decide to do, they can do that because God knows that they need receivers. But if Micah Parsons is there at 7, which he more than likely will be, I think Detroit should pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, I like that. Carolina at 8 with Rashawn Slater. That makes a ton of sense. You got to get Sam Darnold his protection, and I love that you have weapons. Number 9, Denver, Micah Parsons. So, do you notice who's not being called yet?
Who?
We're at 9. Trey Lance and Justin Fields are both on the board. So Denver, right, in this mock, Denver, who is looking to move away from Drew Lock, has a chance to have Justin Fields or Trey Lance in this scenario, and they choose Micah Parsons. No. Again, Charlie Casserly's done a lot for the game. What are you not seeing right now, bro? Like, what's going on here? This doesn't make any sense. Like, do you know team needs? This just came out 2 days ago. This isn't your mock from, months ago. What's going on? Like, I don't understand this part. Like, and you're going to see how far they actually both fall, and it makes no sense. Absolutely. I would, like you said, what did you say? Where I'm not going to tell people if they don't know yet where Justin Field falls, but what did you say? I'll air fry a shirt and eat it.
Yeah. And I was going to wait till we get to that pick.
Yeah.
I'll
reiterate. All right.
Yeah, so very much so.
So 10, Patrick Surtain. Okay, for Dallas. I mean, I think that's the worst kept secret is that Dallas is going to go defense. Absolute worst kept secret.
Yeah, their defense was atrocious last year, and they need help in the secondary. I think that losing Byron Jones for them was a much bigger loss than we anticipated, and their defense was bad. So, yeah, they need help at corner a lot.
And you pair him with Trevon Diggs, that sounds good, honestly. And they're going to be running cover 3. Dan Quinn's over there. I like it. That's a good pick. Kwity Paye at 11 to the Giants. Jalen Waddle, 12. And then Elijah Vera Tucker, 13 to the Chargers. You side. Which one did you side about?
Kwity Paye, man. Like, I've seen him as high as like 10. I've seen him as low as not even making the first round. Like, there's so much like difference of opinion when it comes to Kwity Paye. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything about Kwity Paye because I don't. But the variance in terms of where people have him falling, that's just kind of a little bit of a red flag to me. So I don't think that's... I'm trying to think of what the Giants really need right now. Edge rusher, yeah. I mean, you can make the case they need an edge rusher.
I would say they take another receiver, honestly. I mean, at that point, you got Jalen Waddle on the board right there. I would take a receiver if I was them. And I know you don't like the idea of it, but, hear me out. Remember, they have to evaluate Daniel Jones. Kenny Galladay's there. Darius Slayton's there. Now you get Waddle there. And let's just say Daniel Jones isn't your guy and you don't, you move off of him. Well, whoever you bring in is going to have a nice bunch of weapons to be good with. I don't know whether that's in the draft or whether they go and get somebody, but remember, you have to make sure that you evaluate Daniel Jones with a full bevy of weapons and another year in the system, because you have to pick up his option and jobs are on the line here. If he hits this year and they're fine, then get him and stays. If not, get him and goes. And I think that's where it is, honestly. So, I mean, I know you don't love the idea of a top 15 wide receiver, but I think right there at 11, you kind of have to go receiver right there for them just to make sure that you insulate Daniel Jones with enough talent around him.
The only thing with that is the fact that they already have, a solid core. I mean, they just signed Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard's still there, Darius Slayton's still there. They signed John Ross. So, I mean, at this point, they would just be, it'd almost be like oversaturation almost. Now, I get your point, definitely. Let's get Daniel Jones as much help as he can possibly get. And if he can't do anything with these guys, then yeah, we know he's not our guy. So that makes perfect sense to me. I totally get that. It's just in terms of, I mean, the Giants' defense was really good last year, so maybe they don't need to look so much defense. Maybe edge rusher, because I guess that is kind of a need. But Kwity Paye, I don't think that he would be the pick. Jalen Waddle makes more sense to me than Kwity Paye, I'll say that much.
Yeah, so Jalen Waddle ends up at Philadelphia. Philadelphia's got receiver problems.
Big receiver problems.
Jalen Reagor didn't hit. They could have had somebody else. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I'm not going to go through it because Philly has whiffed on a lot of receivers, honestly, when they could have had other people. But Jalen Waddle seems safe right there at 12. Elijah Vera Tucker is somebody that a lot of variance, right? Makes it in the first round high, doesn't make it, depends. What is it about him, that has him so up and down? Because right here, it's got the Chargers taking him at 13.
Yeah, that's another you just said it, a lot of variance on Elijah Vera Tucker. I like Elijah Vera Tucker. I think he'll go somewhere in the early 20s. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of variance for a lot of these guys. I think that another guy that had a lot of variance last year was the Dolphins pick at tackle, Austin Jackson. I mean, here's another guy that kind of went back and forth on boards too. So we know that the Chargers need offensive line help, though. I mean, they didn't. I don't think that I think they were the most like injury plagued in terms of offensive linemen last year. I don't think they had the same combination in any game, so that's a problem for a young quarterback. Similar to Joe Burrow, just not to as severe an extent. To so I mean they gotta really give him help on the offensive line. Mike Pouncey retired as well, so offensive line's a big concern for the Chargers right now.
Yep. So we got our first trade at 14.
Okay, so we did do trades. All right.
So the Washington football team trades with Minnesota to get Trey Lance at 14.
I'm sorry, who traded up? Washington.
You're Washington.
I mean, here's the thing. That makes perfect sense. There's no way in hell Trey Lance is going to make it to 14.
No,
absolutely not.
None. But here's his explanation. Washington trades up to get its quarterback of the future with Ryan Fitzpatrick already in place. Lance could be used in year one in packages that take advantage of his running ability. All right, here's my problem with that statement.
The running ability thing is that is this going to be another? They're gonna are we going to see a lot of what Baltimore did with Lamar Jackson year one before they replaced him with Joe Flacco?
But my thing is why is it always that? Trey Lance has running ability, but why is that the thing that you yell about, like, or you're pointing to?
Oh, quarterback.
Yeah, don't get me started, dude. Don't get me started. That really, really gets me mad. Look where we're at. We're at 15 right now. So look, we're at 15, and the Patriots didn't have to trade up. Justin Fields is on the board,
and they don't take him.
Cam Newton is the quarterback right now. Who could you think of as a better mentor for any sort of team right now at this point than somebody who's already endorsed Justin Fields, like Cam Newton, because he used to go to his camp?
Yeah.
But Charlie Casserly has J.C. Horn going at 15. So J.C. Jackson, he signed his tender, right?
Yeah, he did.
But
I don't care. If Justin Fields somehow, by the grace of God or the grace of Satan, I guess, falls to New England, there's no way in hell Bill Belichick is not taking him. Especially if he doesn't have to trade up. Oh my God, that would be just the utmost middle finger to the NFL if somehow Justin Fields falls to 15 for New England, just right in his lap. And then Bill's just like, all right, yeah, I guess we're just going to start another dynasty.
All right, well, I guess we'll have Justin Fields. We'll start Cam,
We're on to Cincinnati.
yeah, we probably got the best quarterback in the draft. No one cares.
We feel pretty good about it. He's going to come into camp like anybody else. We don't really look at names on the back of jerseys, so we're just going to.
Yeah, that's it. He's got to come in and do his job. That's it. All right, but so it doesn't make any sense at 15, right? All right, 16, no. Caleb Farley, 16 to Arizona.
No. Well, okay. You know what? I shouldn't scream. So no, they got better in the secondary last year. It's still kind of a mediocre team. I would rather see them go offensive lineman though, because Kyler Murray still needs help on that side of the ball. So yeah, I wouldn't argue too much with Caleb Farley to the Cardinals. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, sorry, Charlie.
You're good. 17 Raiders, Tevin Jenkins.
The Raiders are going to take somebody that no one's ever heard of.
Right.
That's what I've come to terms with because they've done it. Not knowing that no one's ever heard of, but last year was Damon Arnett in the first round when he had a third-round grade. They took Clelin Ferrell at number 4 overall when he was expected to be a late first pick. So, the Raiders, I have a hard time deciding what they're going to do because usually what we think they're going to do, they do the complete opposite of that. So watch them take a running back.
Yeah.
Right, we got Kenyon Drake. We got Josh Jacobs. We're going to take Najee Harris.
We're taking Najee Harris. That's it. Yeah. Good God, that would make everybody upset. All right. Miami takes Jalen Phillips. So Miami gets Miami. Kind of works, honestly.
I guess.
Yeah. So do you have reserves with Jalen Phillips or?
I just don't think that's one of their. For Miami right now, I mean, edge rusher, yeah, they should probably pick one up. I don't think in the first round. Right now, what they need is as many weapons of protection for Tua. They need. If I'm a Miami fan, I wouldn't be sad. I wouldn't be angry at all if they were to go receiver, then running back, and then address offensive line, cornerback. They've got a boatload of picks in the first 100. They can load up any position. Right now, the most important thing, everybody's complaining about Tua. He didn't have anybody to throw to last year because they were all hurt. I get that they signed Will Fuller. Will Fuller just got hurt listening to his name being mentioned. So,
wow.
Look, if he stays healthy, he's a solid deep threat. Devontae Parker, we know he's good. They need help. If I'm Miami there and Travis Etienne or Najee Harris are still there, which they more than likely will be, I think Travis Etienne would fit their offense more. I'm hoping that he doesn't because I want Travis Etienne to be a Steeler more than I want anything. So, look, I think that Travis Etienne would be the smarter pick there simply because they have a horrible running back room right now. They need somebody in that backfield that can attract attention.
I like Preston Williams too. I just, I hope that he just is able to stay healthy. I thought he was really good too. Christian Darrisaw, 19 to Minnesota as they trade back.
Yeah, I mean, Darrisaw, I think I like Darrisaw more than I like Elijah Vera-Tucker. So the fact that he would go, I think Darrisaw
19.
would probably go before Vera-Tucker. But yeah, I mean, Minnesota needs some help at left tackle. They need help on defense too. Minnesota's a weird team.
Yeah. They definitely need help on defense. That the reason. So everybody thinks that the reason that they didn't win is because of Kirk Cousins. Well, Kirk Cousins had one of his best years last year, and
Kirk Cousins balled.
was anemic. Yep. All right, I'm gonna do 3 in a row. Ready?
Okay. Yep.
20. The Bears take Greg Newsome. 21. Colts take Kadarius Toney. 22. Titans take Jalen Mayfield. I don't have a problem with the Bears one. Kyle Fuller left. You want to make sure
they need. The Bears, my goodness.
Yeah.
They cut Kyle Fuller for absolutely no reason.
One more thing.
No reason.
One more thing. Justin Fields is on the board, and Chicago doesn't want to take him. They're going to take Greg Newsome.
So Charlie thinks that in this situation, that both New England and Chicago, both teams in dire need of a franchise quarterback going forward, would look at Justin Fields and say, no.
Nah. Yeah. Indianapolis, Kadarius Toney. I don't love that pick right there at 21. Honestly, I think that's a little high for him.
I think it's a lot high for him.
We just talked about all these other receivers, and I think that they're a little bit better than him. But, he may end up being one of the better receivers. But at 21, that's too high. Jalen Mayfield at 22. I get they're trying to fix the Isaiah Wilson pick.
Yeah, what a conundrum that's been.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get to these next ones. 23, Gregory Rousseau. I don't think anybody can argue that he's one of the most athletically gifted, but he kind of feels for me like Rashawn Gary. And I never was big on Rashawn Gary at all. Like, he
hasn't done anything since he went to Green Bay. Is he still with Green Bay?
Yeah, he is. And you've never heard his name.
No.
That's kind of how I feel about Rousseau. It's like, okay, you see it jump off the tape because sometimes the athleticism takes over, but I don't know if he can win consistently at this level. And that's really where my concern is. And that's what I thought about Rashawn Gary. And so far, I've been right about that, at least, because he just has been like, you had to ask if he was still on the Packers. That should tell you all you need to know.
That's a Jets pick, right? Again, man, like, get him another tackle.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness, we can't. If the Jets take Zach Wilson, which we're pretty sure they're going to, the last thing that you need is for Sam Darnold 2.0, where now Zach Wilson can move. We've seen him do it. He can very much improv. The last thing that you want him to do, though, is be running for his life every play. Mekhi Becton's fantastic. Get somebody on the other side of him. Now, if they want to wait and take one of these other guys that might be better suited at right tackle who have played left tackle in college, I can understand that. But I don't think edge rusher is much of their need. I think they should go running back at that point. I think they're in an extremely similar situation to Miami or Pittsburgh, where they have dire needs at running back. They have needs other places as well, but right now the running back room is so bad. Mm-hmm. Get Zach Wilson somebody who he can hand it off to and pitch it to, little short screens and whatnot that can make plays and not have him running for his life. I think that both Miami and the Jets could very much be in play for a running back at that spot. And then this is a deep offensive tackle class, so they can wait till the second round. Plus, they pick very early in the second round, so that's basically still another first-round pick that they have. So I think that I wouldn't hesitate on going Najee Harris or Travis Etienne if both of them are still there, if I'm the Jets.
Okay. 24, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State University.
Look, I would be the happiest son of a bitch alive if
that
happens.
Of course you would.
Of course you would. But I'm also realistic, and I know that if Justin Fields makes it to either 15 or 20, there's no way in hell they're both passing on him. There's no way. And like I said, I will find a shirt that I have. I will air fry it. I will eat it on this show if Justin Fields somehow falls to 24 and becomes a Steeler. If Justin Fields falls that far, I will eat a shirt. I will saute it. I will saute it with garlic pepper and onions. I will cut up some peppers. And I will eat a shirt because there's no way that that's happening. It's not going to happen, Jay.
I know it's not going to happen.
I think that you and I both know this, and I think that you and I have we've both been very clear on where Justin Fields is going to go, and that is at number 3.
Yeah.
There is no way on God's green earth or whatever God you pray to that Justin Fields is going to be available at 24. He's not going to be a Steeler.
So look, go ahead.
As much as I would like that, mate, it's not going to happen. It's just not.
This is so strange. Like, this is, I don't understand the thought process here, right? Again, Charlie Casserly knows a lot about football, probably more than me, right?
Right.
But how in God's name is he going to fall to 24? It's just impossible. It is impossible. I don't understand what the thought process is here. And it starts to make you think other things. And I don't want to be that guy, but what other explanation could you have for Justin Fields not only falling out of the top 5, falling all the way to 24? You know who's going to fall to 24? Mac Jones.
You think Mac Jones is going to slip to 24?
No, he won't slip to 24, but he's going to slide. And it's going to be, it's not going to, everybody who has him as like a top 5, top 10 pick, don't be surprised if he falls out of the top 10.
If Steelers take Mac Jones, I'm ending my fandom.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. All right. So Jacksonville 25, Pat Freiermuth from Penn State.
Oh, Pat Freiermuth. Oh, I love Pat Freiermuth. Look, they need a tight end badly. They really do. Who are their? I think O'Shaughnessy is still their tight end.
O'Shaughnessy and Oliver.
I think. Yeah. So yeah, they are in dire need of a go-to tight end. Pat Freiermuth. Oh my goodness, we should start calling Penn State tight end U. I mean, Mike Gesicki a few years ago. Pat Freiermuth now. So, no, Pat Freiermuth. He's ginormous. He can get up and get the ball. Got great hands. More agile than the average tight end. I love Pat Freiermuth. I love him so much. He's just got a tight end name, doesn't he? Pat Freiermuth.
Right. Exactly.
That just. To me, Pat Freiermuth screams Green Bay Packer just because of his name.
Uh-huh.
Can you imagine Robert Tonyan and Pat Freiermuth at tight end for Green Bay? I'm sorry, I'm going on a Pat Freiermuth rant, but
no, you're good.
I love Pat Freiermuth. I love Pat Freiermuth. That's a solid pick for Jacksonville.
All right, let's do 3 straight. 3 straight. Cleveland Browns, and help me with this name. Jeremy Owusu-Koramoah. Yes.
Yeah, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. Yeah, yep. I mean, I said it a little bit earlier. There's one need that maybe the Browns have, and it's linebacker. Personally, I would like to see them get Nick Bolton from Missouri. I think that if you watch any of Nick Bolton's tape, he is, I don't want to make a Ray Lewis comp, but he's the biggest hitter that I've seen so far in this draft. He's an absolute thumper. Good in short pass coverage as well. So I think a guy like Nick Bolton, another guy that could kind of be under the radar, but he's going to make an impact. I would rather see them go with Nick Bolton in that spot. I know that everybody's high on Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, but I'm a Nick Bolton guy in terms of my preferences here. I like him a little bit more than I like JOK. But either way, it would be a solid pick. Cleveland needs a linebacker.
Okay. Baltimore Saints, Packers next. So Baltimore takes Joe Tryon from Washington, edge. New Orleans takes Asante Samuel Jr., and the Packers take Zaven Collins, linebacker from Tulsa.
I mean, yeah, we talked about Baltimore a little bit earlier. Their defensive front is kind of shot. They lose Yannick Ngakoue and Matt Judon. Poor Baltimore. And now they've got to kind of really figure out that edge rushing situation. I think Derek Wolf's still there. I could be wrong on that.
I think so too.
But even then, it's not like he's a premier edge rusher. Right. So, yeah, they need help in the front 7. Calais Campbell up the middle, but he's like 97 years old, so he's not going to be around much longer. So, yeah, Baltimore needs help in their front 7. They also need help at receiver. Don't be surprised if Rashad Bateman's still available there, why would they not take Rashad Bateman? I memean, maybe because their quarterback probably couldn't hit Rashad Bateman. I'm sorry. I have to say it. I know. I'm such a meanie. It's okay. It's all right. But, no, if Rashad Bateman's there, Rashad Bateman.
Okay. The Saints, Asante Samuel Jr., that actually kind of makes sense. Jenkins is gone. Marshawn Lattimore might be, on his way out with free agency. So that's not a bad pick.
He's still on his rookie deal, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they picked up his option yet.
Zaven Collins from Tulsa, linebacker.
He's got the Packers have been
and the Packers have been awful with their picks, man. Like,
oh my goodness! Last year was arguably the most pointless draft for a team in terms of Green Bay. They did absolutely nothing.
They could have thrown darts at the wall. They could have thrown darts at the wall and come up with a better draft class than they did. Just with their thinking minds. Honestly, it's like how do you? It felt like when they went into the draft, how do you piss off Aaron Rodgers more? Like,
Well,
I was
that's
like,
the
how do we?
thing. That's the thing, mate, because we've kind of seen Aaron Rodgers leave these little breadcrumbs of being frustrated. He went on McAfee saying that, he threw a wrench into some people's plans by his performance this year. What's that mean? Yeah, they wanted me to take a step back so they could put Jordan Love in at some point sooner, but, he won MVP, so that seems to not be happening. Maybe this is just a giant conspiracy where they want Aaron Rodgers to start sucking. That way they can push the narrative that's Jordan Love's time. I don't know, but I'm convinced that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback in 2022, so I gotta really stick to this whole thing. Maybe
Well, you just gotta hope.
maybe Green Bay will help me out and
They're
get
trying
him
to
out of there.
they're trying to make him they're trying to make him push his way out. Honestly, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
what other explanation could he be?
I think it's similar to the Brett Favre situation where they drafted Aaron Rodgers. They don't want to wait too long again for Jordan Love. They just kind of want to start a new regime there. And, they took Jordan Love in the first round. They traded up for Jordan Love in the first round for a reason. So I remember exactly how I reacted to that. I was like, oh, Green Bay traded up. This could be fun. Maybe they're going to get a receiver. And then Jordan Love's name gets called and we're just all like, so I don't know. We'll see, man. It's
because the 49ers snipe. It's because the 49ers sniped Brandon Ayuk from them. Good God,
Yeah.
and Brandon Ayuk got over there with them. Good, thank God he didn't. So let's finish this roundup, and then we'll get to one more topic. Well, we'll get to the Minshew song, and then we'll get you out of here. Yep. So 30, Tyson Campbell, Georgia cornerback to the Bills.
Tyson Campbell.
Yes. The explanation is the Chiefs exploited Bills cornerbacks in the AFC title game. Buffalo wastes zero time addressing this issue in the draft.
No, I agree that it should be cornerback. I'm just trying to think of where Tyson Campbell falls into the equation because I haven't seen him in a lot of first round mocks at least.
Nope.
That's a weird one to me.
Last two, Kansas City Chiefs, Liam Eichenberg.
Oh,
Eichenberg.
Yeah.
Eichenberg from Notre Dame. And then 32, Najee Harris, Tampa Bay.
That'd be the most Tampa Bay thing in the world to get a 19th running back on their roster.
But they have Gio, Fournette, and Ronald Jones.
You're preaching to the choir there, mate. I mean, look, I'm not big on any of those guys, to be honest. I think they're all very good number two backs. Ronald Jones had a good year last year. I can't hate on Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones
It's just that when Bruce Arians sees him fumble or miss something, it's just like, you're out of here. Get his ass out of here. Yeah.
That is it.
All right. We nailed it. It's time. It's time. And this is what everybody's been here for. Yeah. You teased it a little bit. You posted the lyrics. It's time for your Gardner Minshew song, man. I'm excited. I'm gonna sit back and I'm just gonna enjoy with everybody else at this point.
All right. So now, before I start this is under the presumption that Gardner Minshew will be traded to the Giants. One, because it makes a lot of sense. I think that the Giants are in a very similar situation to the Bears last year, where they have a quarterback on a rookie contract who they're not sure about, where if they get a guy like Gardner Minshew to put a fire under Daniel Jones' feet, we saw what the Bears did last year with getting Nick Foles for Mitch Trubisky. I think we could see something very similar this year with Gardner Minshew going to the Giants. And the thing with that is that it makes sense because if Daniel Jones does start playing well, Gardner Minshew isn't a scrub. Let's not pretend that Gardner Minshew didn't ball out a lot last year. So I think that, that would make a lot of sense. If Daniel Jones starts struggling, you throw in Gardner Minshew and see what happens. But no. So we all know that Gardner Minshew posted some very incredible Instagram pictures last week. I said that Will Grier was the sexiest quarterback in the NFL. I changed my mind. It's Gardner Minshew by a country mile.
By a country mile.
Yeah. So and then Benjamin Albright tweeted out, "I can't wait to hear Gardner Minshew's debut single." And it gave me an idea. And so, because apparently I've got nothing better to do with my time.
No, this is great. Everybody's waiting.
I wrote a Gardner Minshew country song entitled Mullet Ride. And I've been teasing it all week that I would sing it for you guys in a country music accent.
Let's do it.
And so, without further ado, enjoy Mullet Ride by Gardner Minshew, maybe one day. Jason Aponte, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Here, let me pick up the mic. It actually might be easier if I can hold it. Ooh, hold on. All right. So I'm going to sit back like this. Can you hear me well enough?
Yep.
All right. So this is Mullet Ride by Gardner Minshew, everybody. All right. Another sack, that's a 3 and out. The crowd's impatient, yeah, they're getting loud. And I think I know just what they need. Danny Jones threw another pick. The judge weighs me over, says you're going in. And now I start the drive in my own 5. I feel the crowd coming alive. God dang, Johnny Ross, you were fast as hell. I'll open eyes on this Sunday. I'm dropping dimes to Kenny Galladay, and we're stealing Philadelphia's Liberty Bell. Buckle up, MetLife, I hope you're ready tonight. I'm taking you on one hell of a mullet ride. Oh, we're not done yet, Jay. I got a whole nother 2 verses. Before I know it, we won 3 in a row. 1 month down, still a winter to go, but this ride doesn't show signs of slowing down. Jerry's boys come rolling in. I stroke the stash, y'all, it's time to win. I went from Duval to the Big A. Here comes Uncle Rico here to save the day. Would you look at that? Saquon's back at it again. I hear the crowd explode to life. They can't get enough of 0-1-5. Another win, baby, that'll get us to 10. New York City, buckle up tonight. I'm taking you on one hell of a mullet ride. And that is Mullet Ride by Gardner Minshew.
Oh my God, Jarrett. Wow, man. You know what's funny is you kind of prepare yourself for, like, you know, I read the lyrics and everything, but I never expected that. I never expected that, honestly.
Exactly.
And,
yeah.
and that's how you close the show. That is how you close the show. Jarrett, thank you so much, man. Thank you for that. That's like easily the highlight right now of the you know, episode 4, where that's it. It's gonna be hard to top that at this point. So
everybody in the comments is very confused. Now, if you don't follow me on Twitter,
that's gonna be why. Yeah,
exactly. I've been teasing this for the last week or so. Where, you know what? I'll explain it again for everybody just now seeing this.
Yeah.
So if you didn't see Gardner Minshew's Instagram post last week, they were very sensual, and Benjamin Albright had tweeted out saying something about how he can't wait to hear Gardner Minshew's debut country album. And I got the idea to write a Gardner Minshew country song. A lot of 49ers Twitter were egging me on about doing it on the show, and I thought it would be funny and something different.
It is funny.
Rather than spending another hour discussing the Justin Fields, Mac Jones dilemma at 3.
Or Charlie Casserly's mock
draft for a little bit. You know what? Decided to have some fun. And,
yeah, absolutely. What's wrong with that?
Exactly. You're not going to hear another Gardner Minshew song on any other sports show, so you're welcome.
Yeah, you are welcome, actually. Yeah, but
exactly.
it's a good place to wrap it up. Jarrett, thank you, bro. Make sure that you follow Jarrett on Twitter. You know, if your Twitter's working, because mine isn't. At
mine started working again, so let's hope so.
Mine's not working at all, and I thought I got suspended, and I was just like, well, this is it. I'm never coming back from this one. But you know, all I can see is my notifications. I can't tweet. Right. People are jumping me in my mentions. There's nothing I can do to defend myself, so I just got to kind of sit back and ride it out. But make sure that you follow at Jay Bailey NFL. At Jason Aponte 2103. Make sure you hit like, subscribe to Two Skinny Dudes channel, leave a comment, you know, share this with your friends. And again, Two Skinny Dudes isn't going to be a 49er-centric show or a Steelers-centric show. We just want to talk NFL, and that's really what we're going to be getting to. If the 49ers, you know, do have news, then we'll talk about it. But, you know, during the week, I speak so much about them that, you know, it's always good to link up with Jarrett on a Saturday so we can talk other teams, because I do love this game as much as I love the 49ers.
Yeah, very much agreed. And, you know, if you enjoyed the serenade, if you have any other song ideas that you want for the future, just to kill a little bit of time this offseason, I'll see what I can do. So,
absolutely.
You know, yeah, that was fun. And it's always fun talking to you, Jay. So, again, subscribe, like, give us everything that you want on Two Skinny Dudes, the YouTube channel. It's a brand new channel that we're trying to build up. So go ahead.
Next week, Saturday, you and I...
Oh my God! The draft's next week, isn't it?
Wait, is it next week? No, hold on, no.
It's
no.
Okay.
After.
Sorry,
everybody. Okay, so I was about to say too. I was about to be like, oh my God, we got a pack. But you know, it looks like 2 weeks down the line, on May 1st, when we do our show, we'll both be in Cleveland.
Yeah,
and that's where we'll be doing our show from. So just to let you know, that's what's going on. That's what we're moving towards. So, but yeah, thank you for everybody who has checked out. Make sure you subscribe to Two Skinny Dudes. Make sure you follow us both on Twitter. Make sure you like and share this video. It means a lot. So, you know, for Jarrett, for Jay, we out of here.
See you guys.